All right, that's right. You're watching Cisco Encore, but what should you be excited about as we begin Cisco Encore? Find out next right here on IT Pro TV.
You're watching IT Pro TV.
All right, that's right. We're going to jump into some of the different course topics that we'll be covering right here on our Cisco Encore show. And here to help us is going to be Mr. Anthony Sequeira. Anthony, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thanks. Doing great, Ronnie. And you and I were looking at Encore. We were looking at the official blueprint from Cisco Systems. And the first thing Ronnie and I needed to decide was, will we stick in the basic order that Cisco put all these topics? And you and I quickly decided, you know what? Hey, kudos, Cisco. Yeah. You did a great job. It's in a common sense order.
It really is. The order that actually is laid out is great because it actually builds on whatever knowledge you may have actually obtained at the CCNA level, for those of you that actually have done that, or your related knowledge. It builds on everything that we need. So by the end of the episode, we actually do move from, relatively easy topics all the way to very difficult topics as well. So before we begin, Anthony, okay, let's make sure that we understand everybody that's actually trying to do this course, you should get a copy of the exam objectives from Cisco itself. So if you go there and you do a search for exam 350-401 just in your favorite search engine, that will bring you to that particular topic, and all you have to do is click on exam topics, and then you'll see that there's a little link there, and you can download that in a PDF format if you want to, and that will actually give you kind of the blueprints that we'll be using as well. So Anthony, in terms of laying it out, we know that we have 6 different topics that we'll be covering. So Anthony, what are those topics, and which one are you really excited about?
Yeah, in fact, let's run through all 6 of them, if you don't mind. Yeah, and talk about what we're super excited about in each of the different section areas. We start out with some architecture and some design discussions, and I'm a big fan of this. In fact, one of my YouTube videos that has had a lot of views is my this one goes out to the CCDA. There is no longer a CCDA, and that's so sad. But we are going to be looking at some really important design topics right here in Encore and many of the other shows that Ronnie and I are going to put together for you. So when you talk about the architecture, the section 1, one of the things that I'm most excited about in that section is discussing some of the newer topologies. Like, we always had the hierarchical model of the hierarchical Cisco, the access layer. It's the 3-tier model. Right. But now we have things like spine leaf. Wow, spine leaf. I haven't heard that before. So I'm really excited about some of those new technologies, even in the design area that we're going to discuss. How about you in section 1?
Yeah, there's no doubt. One of the things that we want to talk about, of course, even in our design, is the idea of redundancy. Something that maybe at CCNA level, or if you're actually new to this, you might not think about the necessity of redundancy or high availability. It's that topic that I'm really excited about, because I think it finally introduces us to something that's a real world concept that we always have to think about when it comes down to it. So things like the first hop redundancy protocols using HSRP and VRRP, I think that's actually one of the more exciting topics as well, because I think it gives that real world impact that we might not think about if we're only learning about this from a book at times, okay? All right, now, there's a bunch of other topics here, but we want to just kind of give you an overview of the ones that we're kind of super excited about as well. So, Anthony, what's our second section?
So the second major section, Ronnie, is virtualization. No, don't adjust your television set. This is not a VMware course with Adam here at IT Pro TV. This is Cisco. Yeah, we have a virtualization section. And one of my favorite topics in this area is the network virtualization technologies like VXLAN. VXLAN is another one of those tech areas of Cisco where I think a lot of students are like, could someone explain this to me in simple language? VXLAN is often described like it can do everything. It's the Ginsu knife for us. It solves every problem you've ever had. So we're going to be taking a look at these overlay technologies, as they're called, in Cisco's network virtualization. And that's one of the areas I'm excited about for sure. And Ronnie, how about you in virtualization?
Well, when it comes down to it, I'm kind of the meat and potatoes guy, right? I really like the beginning of the virtualization technologies, understanding the working of hypervisors, understanding the difference between the layer 1, layer 2, type 1, type 2 hypervisors, understanding the virtualization techniques that made that. And tell you the truth, Andy, that was one of the very fun things at the beginning of my teaching career that I really did kind of get involved into. So I like those topics, and I like the very fact that we're going to be reviewing it because it's so valuable for someone that doesn't have experience to be able to gain experience in how to actually structure systems like that. So in that topic, that's what I'm really looking forward to as well.
That's awesome.
All right, so Anthony, what's our third topic that we'll be covering?
Yeah, so the third major section is the infrastructure section. So this is kind of classically what you would expect to be here, right? This is switching and routing and topics like that. One of my favorite areas in here is border gateway protocol. And for some of my friends out there, my peers, people that I've taught with, or students that I've had for a long time, I'm sure you're thinking, BGP, Anthony, really? This was one of the areas when I was studying for my CCIE that petrified me. This and multicast were just absolutely frightening to me. And I've really learned to not only master those technologies, but now I love them. I went a full 180 degrees on that. So BGP in this section is going to be awesome. Ronnie, what's one of your favorite topics in this area?
So as I looked at the actual exam blueprints itself, it's the idea of OSPF. Getting into it and more in depth, and that layer of actually understanding all of those different things that we have to about it and the way that it actually works, that is a topic that I think is super, super deep, more than I actually realized. So the more that I got into it, the more stuff that I realized that you could actually end up seeing and doing with it, and then learning a little bit more about things like redistribution. All that was actually kind of key to me really getting more involved and desiring to get my CCNP as well.
Ronnie had picked RIP,
Yeah.
and I said, dude, you can't pick that. No, just kidding. RIP is not in ENCOR, thank goodness. Yeah. So section 4, Ronnie, is network assurance.
Network assurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we start talking about the idea of network assurance, right, this is all the stuff that we want to make sure that we have access to being able to understand monitoring, all the different things. And so, Anthony, in this particular topic is using those basic tools. Easy enough to actually think that there are tools out there, but when you start examining how much information you can get just from a router and some of the tools that are available, that to me is exciting, because that's when I really started saying, everything that we do has a consequence, and we can see those things and those actions happen. So that's probably one of the topics that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, one of the things that fascinates me in the network assurance area with Cisco Systems is they provide now today an incredible number of tools that we can use to ensure the network is performing the way we need it to, and tools that can troubleshoot a sick network. But that actually kind of becomes a problem for us, Ronnie, because now we have this incredible number of tools. Now it's a challenge, which tool should we use? So now, not only do we have to know how to use all these tools, but it's like, okay, what tool should we use right now? Should we do a show command? Should we debug? Should we trace? Should we do IPSLA? Should we use some graphical user interface tool in DNA Center? So there's a lot of great material that we're going to look at in the network assurance section. And Ronnie's classic. Ronnie's all about, let's do some show commands. And I agree with Ronnie. There's just so much you can do with the classic tool set, but we'll look at some of the more advanced tools too. Oh my goodness. Security's not important today, is it, Ronnie?
Yeah, who would have guessed that security would be as big as it is, and I don't see it actually going away. So I'm glad that this is a major topic inside of the actual ENCOR show that we're doing. And here, I like to spend the time thinking about the idea of device access security. So Anthony, I always think that everybody wants to secure servers, everybody wants to secure access to, of course, their files. But sometimes the idea of just securing access to the devices themselves is one of the things we might overlook, because it's so simple to do, and it's also so simple to overlook. So when we spend time and take a look at AAA, these are concepts I, again, bring from my CCNA and go, man, that was a harder topic for me to understand. So I like getting in that and then actually being able to hopefully do a deeper dive on that.
Yeah, so we will be taking a look at, again, the classics like AAA and device hardening in the security section, but we'll also be stepping it up and taking a deep look at some of the newer security technologies. One of the technologies that I can't wait to talk to you about is TrustSec. So TrustSec is something that we are really seeing emphasized from Cisco Systems, and we will deep dive it. And yes, we will do demonstrations of TrustSec in action so that you really get it. You could turn to a peer that's never heard of TrustSec and you could teach it to them. It's going to be one of our goals for you. Well, Ronnie, the section number 6 wraps it all up, and it is automation.
You're right.
Automation.
Yeah, so in automation, right, this is probably the topic that if you've come from the background, once again, of the former CCNA, right, the older model, you didn't get a lot of this. So this is something that we're definitely going to need to dive into more. And there's a lot of new technologies, the buzzwords that are coming out, Ansible, right? Docker, you hear all these different things. So in understanding those types of orchestration tools, that's going to get you better prepared for the industry. So I'm excited about us actually doing a deep dive on that.
Yeah, and again, our approach is going to be for you to get this. What a novel idea, right? After we teach it to you, you'll understand it. But and something else that Ronnie and I are going to be doing is we're going to be demonstrating stuff. So we're going to fire up Ansible and we're going to use Ansible to do automation. We're not just going to talk about it with you. But yeah, Ronnie, automation and programmability have been emphasized so much by Cisco, we almost become numb to it and we don't even believe it's real. And we're going to make that real, and we're going to see just how you can leverage programmability and network automation to make your lives simpler.
All right. Well, Anthony, thank you again for joining me, as we've also now gotten a good taste and a good overview of some of the different topics that we'll be covering, as well as a lot more. So we just covered a few different topics, but there are many for us in this entire show, so you want to stick around for that. But signing off for IT Pro TV, I'm your host, Ronnie Wong.
And I'm Anthony Sequeira.
Stay tuned right here for more of your CCNP Encore show.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.